What's up guys, welcome back to another tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be looking over conditional statements in Python. Before we get started with that, let's just familiarize ourselves with the basic arithmetic conditions in Python. Equals, just two equal signs next to each other. Not equals, exclamation mark, then an equal sign. The rest are pretty basic and I'm sure you already know them. Great. So the first conditional statement we're going to be looking at is an if statement. Let's make two variables. I'm going to say num2 equals 6. We'll say if num1 is greater than num2, then print num1 is greater. Great. So we see that num1 is indeed greater. Although this is pretty simple and you can probably see the answer just by looking at it. It's just to demonstrate the syntax and how things work. Great. Next statements we're going to be looking at is an elif statement. So we're going to say elif num1 equals num2. We're going to say print, and we're going to say they are equal. And we're going to change this to a 7, just to demonstrate here. Python cs.py. Great, we see they are equal. So the elif statement is basically saying, if the if statement before the elif statement is not true, then run the elif statement. Cool. The next condition we're going to be looking at is the else statement. So we're going to say else print num2 is greater. I'm going to change that to 8. Sorry, I forgot to put this in quotation marks. Sorry about that. Great, so we say num2 is greater. When looking at these, notice the indentation, the space between the end of the page and print. Let's say we move this back here, and back here, back here. Now let's try run it now. See, we get an error. Because anything inside a conditional statement has to be indented. So always remember that. Anything inside here has to be indented. Great. But the one exception that defines this rule is when there's only one statement to execute. You can go like this. Great. So it still runs perfectly without any errors. Let's take these away. So let's say we wanted to add an else statement as well. Well, we can still do this on the same line. Just take this away like this and say print num1 is greater if num1 greater than num2. Else print num1 is not greater. Let's see what happens now. Great, it runs correctly. The last thing we're going to be looking at is the and or operators. So let's add a third variable here. Let's say num3. Make that equal to 7. Now let's make a statement. We're going to say if num1 is greater than num2 and if num2 is greater than num1 and num2 is greater than num3, then we're going to print num2 is the biggest. Great, now let's run the script. Great, just what we expected. We can also use or. So we'll say, so if num1 is less than num2, or num3 is less than num2, so python cs.py, we'll say num2 is the biggest. So that was just a basic demonstration of the and or operators. Okay guys, that's all for this tutorial. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. It will help me out a lot. I'm going to be posting Python tutorials on a daily basis. Cheers.